Gabbie Hanna is a YouTuber with almost 6.5 million subscribers, and she is an ex-Viner.
When Vine died, or I even think kind of right before Vine died, Gabbie moved to YouTube and started a YouTube channel. And her first early content was very basic YouTuber stuff of that time.
Gabbie Hanna strikes me as the type of girl in high school who everybody would dislike. However, she thinks that she's the funniest person all around.
I'm trying to get this massage chair to touch me and it won't touch me. It's like every guy I've ever liked ever.
Gabbie Hanna is the kind of YouTuber that receives a ton of criticism.
Haters are just funny. I hate using that word because it doesn't sound like something you say in 8th grade, like, oh, my haters. But they're funny because they'll comment like, oh my God, sis, nobody's gonna buy your stupid merch. And it's like, oh, I'd show you my sales report, but I don't want to brag.
Yeah.
Okay, so update. Sorry if it looks like I'm crying. Ricegum didn't think that joke was very funny, and he hit me in the middle of a party and shattered my phone. I can show you that in a sec.
I grab her phone. She kind of holds on tight though, because it's her phone. So I kind of had to use 2 hands to like to.
Did you say a real assault though?
I'm Ricegum. Come on, bro. I can't just sit there and just take shit from people.
This company, Kenza Cosmetics, is giving away their makeup brushes for free. All you have to pay is shipping.
This whole situation pretty much fits the definition of a scam. And she said something truly wonderful.
And I'm genuinely sorry if anybody got their product and was disappointed in the product, but I would also add, manage your expectations a little bit.
You have a massive audience, and with that, you also have a large number of people who will go out of their way to say rude things. You're a public figure, and if you can't deal with that, then you shouldn't be one.
And I think I lost a lot of respect from a lot of people, and that's something that I also have to deal with. If you hate me, and you'll never stop hating me, and that's just the way it is, but at least I said what I could.
Let's go.
At the peak of her growth, which according to Social Blade was in November of 2019, Gabbie Hanna had successfully transitioned from Viner to YouTube star, with more than 5 million subscribers and over 1 billion views across 3 channels on YouTube alone. She had solidified her public affect through storytime videos and music singles, the latter going on to feature on the trending page of YouTube. Although her dedication to the content creation grind had proven to be lucrative, Gabbie Hanna was on the cusp of an epic downfall. Her many controversies had begun to catch up to her, and as her contentious relationship with critics in the YouTube community was heating up, a perfect storm was now gathering on the horizon. That was the end of 2019. 2019 was bookended by a long-lasting feud with fellow content creator Trisha Paytas, with whom Gabbie had had many run-ins, given their similar position within the YouTube content creation scene, the most pivotal of which involved members of the now infamous Vlog Squad. Trisha was not above taking to the internet to air out any and all grievances, often on her kitchen floor. In early of December of 2019, Trisha set up her camera and got to spilling all the tea, striking the match on a feud that had been smouldering for 2 years. And once lit, the dumpster fire that was the ongoing drama between them has yet to be extinguished. I've been researching this feud way longer than any human should be, and it's a bit of a mess, not gonna lie. There have been instances of tweet and deletes, misinformation from both sides, and an ever-switching narrative which has made trying to sort it out really difficult and a big part of why this video took so long to make. And to be honest, it also kind of gave me a bit of a headache, so I needed time away to just clear my mind. But what began to become clear as I continued my research was that the community, to a certain extent, contributed to the direction that the narrative of their falling out took. Who won, who lost each fight, was ultimately determined by the online community at large. Commentators and tea communities reported on each spit and spat that was traded between the two, yet this is where it begins to become muddy, because opinions soon become facts, and those facts were then absorbed and woven into the overall narrative by Gabbie Hanna and Trisha Paytas themselves. So before I get into the weeds, that was the epic falling out of Gabbie Hanna and Trisha Paytas, I first wanted to take a step back and dive into a retrospective of each of their controversial careers up until about the end of 2019, where their feud began, and the overall public perception that they had at that time. So join me in part 1 of 3 of the Gabbie Hanna v Trisha Paytas feud, Gabbie Hanna, a retrospective. Gabbie Hanna migrated to YouTube as Vine, a 6-second video sharing app owned by Twitter at the time, began to shut up shop, finally closing its doors in late November of 2016. Throughout her time on Vine, Gabbie Hanna had amassed a substantial following, her Vine videos having been watched millions of times. This prolific freneticism quickly found a home on YouTube, which she had been posting to already before the closing of Vine. Her videos were energetic and loud, similar to other popular creators whose content was attracting a young younger audience. She was growing rapidly, however, it wouldn't be long before the first in a long line of controversies would land Gabbie in hot water. It started with a Reddit post detailing many instances of her having stolen jokes from comedians both small and large, the most memorable of which being Bo Burnham and Louis C.K. She responded explaining that it was not intentional, yet in the same response she fired back at the video that brought the issue to the forefront, remarking that it did not come from a place of constructive criticism, rather it had been made from a mean-spirited place.
As promised, I am finally addressing this whole joke stealing scandal that keeps being brought up over and over and over again. My reasoning for not doing it sooner is it just felt like there was no winning, because I knew that if I said something, then it would be, oh, she's speaking up, so that means that she has to defend herself because she knows she's wrong. And if you don't speak at all, then people are still saying she's not saying anything because she knows she's wrong. And with the internet, especially when somebody decides that they hate you, there's really not much changing their mind or anything that you can do. Following the advice and feelings of myself, my friends, my family, management, colleagues, peers, I was just kind of told to stay silent and let it blow over because, I don't know, I just really couldn't deal with it at the time anyways. But I'm here, finally, ready to face this and kind of live up to it. Wow, 2 minutes in already, great job. So basically, I'm talking about this video that came out on December 23rd, and this guy made a video where he basically accused me of stealing jokes and profiting on other people's content and building this whole platform on other people's content. And he had 4 examples. This Louis C.K. bit, the one that everybody, like, that's the one that keeps getting recycled over and over and over as, like, she steals jokes. Louis C.K. joke. The second I saw what he was doing, where he put that next to that, like mine versus his, I was like, holy, I stole a joke. Right the fuck away. Like, when I saw the Bo Burnham one, I was like, okay, absolutely not. Like, I did not steal that joke. When I saw the Louis C.K. one, my heart dropped because I was like, holy I've heard this before. There's no way around that. I heard it and I said it. But I will say that it was not intentional. I used to play Pandora, Louis C.K. station, and I've definitely heard Louis say that bit. No question. And a lot of people were saying that I watched it and that I stole that hand motion, but I really didn't. I never saw the stand-up. I 100% heard it. But I feel like when you say that's just like a thing you do with your hands. I don't know. It's how we called the Native Americans Indians, and he was mistaken about them being Indians, but we still call them that. And that, I don't think that's a unique thought, but the way I delivered it was Louis. There's no question that I heard it, it was in my brain, and I said it. But I didn't realize it until I saw it back to back. And I know that there's going to be plenty of people who say that that's a lie, and there's nothing I can do about that. I commented right away, and I was like, you know what, you're right. I admit this, I didn't do it on purpose, but I did steal this joke. It's not cool, it's not okay. I set that video to private pretty much right away, and I actually got called out for setting it to private. The reason I set that video to private is because I don't want to profit off other people's work. And like, I'm so ashamed and embarrassed that all of that happened. Like, if I could change one thing in my life, it would probably be that. But everyone, especially in the comedy world, I feel like everyone's kind of been accused at some point. Like, so many people get accused of stealing jokes. I don't know why this particular guy chose to come at me, considering how many people there are on the internet doing this type of thing, and I must have really rubbed him the wrong way. Maybe he just particularly loves Louis, I'm not sure what it is. But this is another reason I wanted to make this video. Because when I was first coming up on the internet, and this is addressing the other part of the stuff that I was stealing, where I'm not even saying that it was like forgetting that I saw it. Like, I straight up was stealing tweets. If I was on a meme page and I saw tweets that I thought were funny and were getting shared over and over and over and over and over, I would copy and paste and tweet it, because that's just what I saw was being done. That doesn't make it okay. It doesn't matter what my intention was. The fact of the matter was, I was ignorant and I made a really fucking stupid mistake, and I'm paying for it now. Honestly, I'm glad it happened when it did, as much as it hurt and as much as it sucked, because I just learned earlier in my career that what's right and what's wrong. For everybody who was defending me, saying like, oh, who cares, she stole one joke, it's not a big deal. Thank you for doing that, but it is a big deal. Even though the video that was made about me was really cruel and it seemed to come more of like a hateful place than like a productive, constructive place, it happened. And it happened. But I'm sorry to anybody that I hurt. I'm sorry to anybody who felt disrespected and dishonored. I'm sorry that it took so long for me to own up to this and talk about it. And I've learned to not be that person. And I'm very grateful that I got called out. I wish that I could have been called out in a more private, respectable manner. I wish that, you know, somebody kind of could have taken me under the wing and been like, hey, this isn't cool. Like, you got to be more careful or whatever. But now I triple check everything. I like Google it in 10 different forms. I'm like, did somebody say this before? And I do my very best to make sure that I'm not doing this forgetting that I saw it, or you know what I mean. I'm trying my best. And we're all people. You can expect nothing but, I mean, I don't know if it's gonna be original because I'm not that creative or funny, but you can only expect stuff that came from my own brain from now on. And that's all I've been putting out since that came out in December. And I think I lost a lot of respect from a lot of people. And that's something that I also have to deal with. And to all those people, I'm really sorry too, and I hope that you can see this in some type of genuine light. If you hate me, you hate me, and you'll never stop hating me, and that's just the way it is, but at least I said what I could. Don't steal shit. Yeah.
Given this was her first real controversy on YouTube and she had addressed it in a seemingly honest manner, people were willing to give her the benefit of the doubt. Even Angelica Oles, a commentator who would go on to become a major critic of Hanna, gave her quite a bit of grace.
She actually said that it was because she's heard the joke before, didn't focus on kind of listening to it, and it just kind of got stored in her mind, and she then just said it in a video. I believe that to a certain extent. I think there's a lot of situations where you will hear something and it won't register in the moment, but then it kind of comes back to you just like months later, and you don't know where you got it from, and it almost seems like an original idea, and then you realize that it's not. And this could have been the case. But the comedian isn't some kind of a, he's not a little guy who, she could have just heard about somewhere. He was a pretty big comedian. So chances are that she did take the joke, possibly intentionally, but possibly she just heard it at one point in time and didn't put two and two together when she was filming the video. I don't really know who I believe in that situation. I don't know if I believe that she fully did not know during filming the video that that was not her joke. But I also don't know if I believe completely that she just stole someone's joke, knowing that she is in the public eye and he is also in the public eye, and it can just be like found out. I don't know if Gabbie Hanna would be that stupid. I understand if she would like hear a joke from her friend just in a private situation and then take that joke word for word and put it in a video, because one person's in the public eye but one isn't, so there's no way to kind of track where the joke came from. I don't think Gabbie is or was dumb enough to steal a joke from someone who said that joke to hundreds of people. And if she did that intentionally, then I'm sorry for calling you stupid right now, but that was a pretty stupid thing to do.
Gabbie Hanna had swiftly handled the situation, owning up to it publicly and on the whole apologising. In this age of everyday people soaring to sudden and dizzying heights of fame, public apologies such as this were becoming more and more common. The audience had yet to tire of apology videos, and we weren't to know at this stage that it would become a genre in of itself. As a result, this event has become a near footnote in the long list of issues that Gabbie has caused. Yet, it is a starting point. Despite it paling in comparison to her future negative behaviour, this scandal is now looked on as a precursor for what was to come. Trigger warning for the following: overdose, substance abuse, and death. Her transition from Viner to YouTuber was well underway by the time the dust on the joke scandal had begun to settle. During this period in YouTube's history, storytime videos were all the rage. Fellow YouTubers such as Tanner
Mojo
and Trisha Paytas had been riding this trend for some time and were beginning to make bank. Gabbie, with a keen eye on what was garnering views, delved into the messy world of storytimes herself. And the energy was certainly there. She began to grow an active audience of both fans and haters. Storytime videos are engaging, particularly if the person telling said story is entertaining as they regale you with yet another crazy story from the beat of LA. Which makes me wonder if that's why people move out there, because crazy shit happens all the time. I mean, the crazy thing that happened to me when I visited LA was staying at this Airbnb, which put me in a hastily made shed where the walls were made of like styrofoam and Hessian sacks. And let's just say you hear everything your neighbors are doing, and it's so awkward because we were being as careful as possible to make no sound, which makes every sound that much louder and very awkward when it's very clear what they're doing. Anyway, suffice to say, I got a hotel room the next day and a refund. The second scandal Gabbie found herself in was over a story time of an experience she had during high school. She describes an instance where a fellow student at the school tragically overdosed whilst in class. Although the story was told from her perspective, detailing the lockdown and subsequent reaction from the administration and teachers, people in her hometown took umbrage to the video. This is where Gabbie's character was called into question. Given that the video was released around the 10-year anniversary of the tragedy, it was perceived as exploitative, especially given the size of Gabbie's platform at the time. In the follow-up video, Gabbie goes on to apologise and correct her mistakes.
If you're watching this video, I assume that there's a good chance that you probably saw last week's video. In case you didn't, in that video I told a story about a girl who overdosed on drugs in class. The response overall was overwhelmingly positive and supportive. Overall, the general public was very receptive to the video and was happy to see somebody using their platform to spread such an important topic that so many people are afraid to speak about. However, there was one group of people who I didn't consider when I made the video, and it was probably the single most important group of people, and that was her family. A few days after the video went live, I started getting some texts that some Facebook posts were going around amongst my hometown, and they were saying that the video was disgusting, that I was unempathetic, that I was narcissistic, and that it was unforgivable of me to tell this story, that it wasn't my story to tell. My initial response was I was shocked and hurt because I didn't make this video with any intention of hurting anybody, and it was meant to spread a message, and the way I spread messages is through stories. And in my mind, this was my story to tell because I was there, I was affected by it, and here it is a decade later and I'm still affected by this story. But the problem was I never stopped to think what this would look like through the mother's eyes. I never stopped to think that it may make them relive this experience and how it would make them feel. I thought that by not saying her name that it was permissible for me to speak about it, but a lot of people were able to Google her and found the articles, and it did end up getting back to the family, and they were hurt by it, very deeply hurt by it, for a couple of reasons, and I would really like to share those reasons with you now and clear up some things that were misconstrued or the things that maybe I didn't say correctly. I actually had the incredible and humbling honor to speak to her mother, who was so incredibly kind and accepting and forgiving, and what she said to me was that there was a really, really important message to be spread here, and that she sees that I have a platform that I can do this, and she wanted to work together to spread that message. So what this video is the conversation that I had with her mother, and to clear up some things that were really bothersome about the way that I presented this story to you guys. The first thing I want to get out of the way is I want to promise you guys and everybody at home that I genuinely had no idea that this was so close to the anniversary of her death. And it wasn't until after I was reading the comments that I went back and I Googled the articles, and I found that the day that I was having those thoughts and the day that I decided to film that video was the day that she was declared. The fact that this came to me on the 10-year anniversary is overwhelmingly coincidental. Secondly, as I was reading the comments, I realized that probably the majority of people took this story and read it as a suicide. I would like to respectfully say that I never said or intentionally implied that she killed herself. I think it was because I labeled the trigger warning as death, drug abuse, overdose, suicide, that people took that and applied it to her situation and inferred that I was saying that she intentionally overdosed. I've never looked at that situation of assuming that her death was intentional. And I also don't think that she was a frequent drug user or a drug addict or a druggie. In fact, I was always under the impression that that was her first time using, which brings me to the next and probably most important part of this video. I regret very, very much that parts of this video make her seem like somebody who could be viewed in a way that's less than favorable. I think the part that was really, really problematic to the family, and justifiably so, was the part where I describe her as, you know, she would show up late, sleep in school, didn't show particularly a lot of interest in school. Those are things that I don't know firsthand and things that I was saying based on what I was told 10 years ago. I also in no way meant to use that as a way to frame her as a druggie or a bad kid, because I slept in class every single chance I got. I showed up late to school so often that I had detention like every other week for being late. So I wasn't trying to say those things in a way that put her in a negative light. I was simply adding in possibilities of why the teacher may not have woken her up. That was incredibly, incredibly wrong and hurtful for me to say. I spoke out of turn based on hearsay and speculation, and I apologize deeply from the bottom of my heart for the people who were hurt by this misrepresentation. I don't think anybody looked at her and expected this to happen because she wasn't that kid, which was, you know, another reason that I kind of wanted to put out this message, is that everybody is at risk. Nobody saw that coming. Not her teachers, not her friends, not her parents, and it's nobody's fault. Nobody knew, but I do feel the worst out of everything for making her family feel like I was putting out this really negative image of her. And her mother was so heartbroken because, and I remember this, all of the news stories framed it a very certain way, and they shaped her as this specific person, and that wasn't the specific person that the people who actually knew her knew she was. And I'm so sorry to the family and everybody that I heard for contributing to that. Another fact that I wanted to correct that I just got wrong because it's what I was told. It was the rumor that was spread. She bought the oxys and she took them all. This upset her mother a lot because in the police reports, she had bought 12 to 13 and they found 10 in her bag, which means she only took 2 or 3. So I can understand why, as a mother who has had these rumors perpetuated for a decade, why seeing it put out to a couple million people that she took all of her pills when the fact of the matter is she didn't, why that would be upsetting. And that is 100% my fault. So I had a hand in spreading false rumors and perpetuating false information. So for that, I not only apologize to the family, but I apologize to my viewers for not being more careful with my facts. I tell stories as memoir, not biography, and I do my best to tell everything in the most truthful way possible, but sometimes there are mistakes. I promise to be better, especially when it comes to stories that involve other people. The reality of the situation is she was a really kind, gentle, sweet girl. She wasn't some addict who didn't care about anything but drugs. She cared about her family, she cared about school. She's just some poor girl who made a mistake. And that's the importance of the story, and that's why I thought it was so worth telling, and I am so incredibly honored and humbled to have had the opportunity to speak directly to her mother, who I wish I would have reached out to and spoken to in the first place. Good people make mistakes. Sometimes those mistakes are really harmful, and sometimes your first mistake is your last. It's not always the people you would expect who are in danger, and it's important that we all love each other and look out for one another.
She talked to the mother of the student, describing the type of person they were and the impact that their passing had had on the family as well as their friends. Gabbie was seemingly sensitive to the mother's feelings, as she took the time to correct the misinformation that she had inadvertently spread. It was a good apology, serving to assuage the internet for the time being. However, as more and more issues began to arise, this, among other controversies, began to be compiled as a pattern of behavior rather than a one-off mistake. Yet it would only be a matter of weeks before Gabbie would find herself in trouble once again. Gabbie had a run-in with known disc track artist Ricegum at a YouTuber party.
And I know that I want to challenge him to a battle, but I know he won't do it, and it's Alex's birthday, so I don't want to ruin the party, you know what I mean?
Her Snapchat followers retreated to her filming the initial interaction, as Gabbie challenged Ricegum to a rap battle, to which at first he declined in a tired but reasonably jovial manner.
Hey Ricegum, I just challenged you to a live battle on Snapchat. Would you do it? No. Live rap battle. Why wouldn't you do it?
No, I don't want to.
This led Gabbie taking a further jab at Ricegum by questioning his refusal to a rap battle because his ghostwriter was out of town.
Alright, so Rice doesn't have his ghostwriter today. It's fine. I think we can still battle. I think we're good. No? You don't want to do it?
The screen would go black, only for her fans to see her outside in the dark crying a little while later, claiming Ricegum had hit her, causing bruising as well as breaking her phone.
Okay, so update. Sorry if it looks like I'm crying. Ricegum didn't think that joke was very funny, and he hit me in the middle of a party and shattered my phone. I can show you that in a sec. He literally, everybody's like, did he hit you? And I was like, yeah, he did. The screen is broken, the back camera's broken, so I need to get a new phone. Here is my pop socket in my hand that fell off when he shattered my phone. It's broken. Even if I was making up everything about him hitting me and twisting my arm, all of that, even if that was all a lie, even if he didn't touch me, he damaged my property because of what? And as far as him assaulting me, I guess is the word, he didn't beat the shit out of me, if that's the impression that you guys are getting. He grabbed me, twisted my arm, I think I said that, and held me down, and I have those scratches up here and on my wrist and arm, and I had a big scratch on my leg. I don't want it to seem like I'm blowing this up and he punched me in the face and destroyed my phone beyond repair. No, it's cracked screen, cracked camera, scratches and stuff. Which is still obviously not okay, and I'm not condoning that behavior. I hope you don't think I'm trying to make an excuse for him. I just didn't want you guys to feel like I was And also, at the end of the day, if you make fun of people for a living and are dishing it out constantly online, if somebody approaches you in a joking manner, don't get violent.
Following this event, Ricegum went on to appear on commentary and drama channels detailing his side of the story, oftentimes misconstruing what Gabbie had said in her Snapchats. Gabbie Hanna, however, stayed under the radar this time, focusing on releasing further content. That was until a sneak peek of Ricegum's new diss track about the event dropped on Twitter. Gabbie jumped online and released a video response.
Hi guys, I received some text that Ricegum was posting a diss track on me tomorrow. Mostly this video is because I want to clear up some blatant lies that Brian has been spreading. First, and most importantly, he keeps going on all these drama channels and doing these interviews saying that I said that he beat my ass, or beat the shit out of me, or punched him in the face.
She's making it seem like I broke her phone and I beat her ass.
And the reality is, I said the exact opposite, publicly, right away, on multiple platforms. I'm not saying that he beat the shit out of me. I'm not trying to say that Ricegum held me down and punched me in the face. He didn't beat the shit out of me, if that's the impression that you guys are getting. But he grabbed me, twisted my arm, I think I said that, and held me down, and I have those scratches up here and on my wrist and arm, and I had a big scratch on my leg. I don't want it to seem like I'm blowing this up and he punched me in the face and destroyed my phone beyond repair. No, it's cracked screen, cracked camera, scratches and stuff. That night, in the moment, I made sure that none of my followers thought or were under the impression that I was saying that Brian beat the shit out of me or punched me in the face, anything like that. And he's going to try to paint it like I backpedaled and I'm trying to take it back, because initially I used the word hit. The definition of hit is bring one's hand in contact with, quickly and forcefully, physically, which he did. Cause harm or distress to, which he did. When a man is on top of you and grabbing at you, it feels like, yes, he hit me. I clarified immediately on Snapchat and on the vlog that I posted that I wanted to be clear that he did not punch me, he did not beat my ass. Those were the marks left on my body from him grabbing at me and clawing at me and twisting my arm to get my phone out of my hand. Lie number 2, he keeps using this image that proves that these bruises on my leg were there before he hit me.
You can go watch in the snap. She had those bruises before anything. Like, I didn't give her those bruises. That's it.
Not this. This is from an oatmeal thing. He's trying to make it seem like I'm trying to claim these bruises are from him, but that's just him grasping at straws, trying to make it seem like I'm a liar because he knows this is in the wrong and he's trying to manipulate his fan base. Lie number 3, he says in an interview with Scares,
Bro, I don't even have nails.
and then proceeds to post a degrading and disgusting video.
No, look. Watch. Oh my god, he hit me.
Not only insinuating that I inflicted self-harm to frame him, but also proving that he does in fact have nails that can leave scratch marks if he wants to. So Brian, if you can leave a mark on yourself, then why can't you leave scratch marks on me? Line number 4, Brian sent me anywhere between $2,000 and $2,200. In reality, he did pay me for my phone right away, which by the way is an admission of guilt. Because even if he didn't touch me, Brian had my phone to break it. Do you think that I just handed my phone to Brian and said, here you go, take this, break it in half, shatter it, I don't care. No.
I grab her phone. She kind of holds on tight though, because it's her phone. So I kind of had to use 2 hands to like to.
What did you say about assault though?
Oh god, it's just so crazy how many times he just admitted guilt and people still support him. Anyways, he keeps saying how he sent me $2,200, which is more than the cost of the phone. And most of the comments that I'm seeing are like, he sent you more money than your phone is worth, blah, 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 blah. No, he sent me 3 payments, one for $1,100, one for $999, and one for $100. And then his friend who was texting me through this immediately was like, yo, he accidentally sent you more money. Please send it back. Texted me again multiple times saying, send it back, Gabbie, hi, send it back, can you send the money back? And I did send it back. So no, you didn't pay me $2,200. You paid me $1,100, which is what an iPhone 7 Plus with 256 or 254, whatever the highest number of gigabytes is worth, and accidentally sent me more, which I sent back. So don't try to make it seem like you sent me all this extra money and I should be happy with it, because at the end of the day, even if you had sent me extra money and then didn't beg for the extra back and then I gave it back, sending somebody money isn't an excuse to be aggressive and violent and assault them, Brian. In this note, where he also makes sure to attack my appearance, he said, I didn't want that shit online, so I broke his phone. So basically, I made a joke that he didn't like about his ghostwriter because it hit too close to home, so he wanted my phone broken before I could post it, which is what he tried to do. There's a lot of ways that Brian could have handled this situation. He could have laughed at it. I mean, I had my own scandal with stealing jokes, and that Brian was happily ready to put that online about how I'm such a joke thief, and people joke with me about it all the time. I have a camera in my face all the time with my friends who vlog and stuff, and they're like, yo Gabbie, how's it feel to steal jokes? And I even said in my own roast myself video, I called myself Pinocchio because my nose is growing from lying about stealing jokes. Like, you can joke about your scandals, you can joke about your mistakes, you can move on from it. But Brian, being insecure and defensive and unable to admit to his faults and own up to his mistakes, acted in violence, and that is the problem. But second of all, to say that to your young, impressionable fans is saying it's okay to hit somebody if they annoy you. That violence and physical aggression is an appropriate response to somebody's words. It's not. You and I both know, Brian, that you told me to delete that snap because I made the joke about the ghostwriter and immediately grabbed my hand and my wrist and tried to break my phone before I had a chance to post it. I didn't give up that easily, so you stood over me, twisted my arm, grabbed at my hands and my body until you were able to rip my phone out of my hands, and then smash it as hard as you could with the intention of breaking it, which you admitted to in several interviews and on Twitter. That's assault. That's destruction of property. That's violent and ugly. That's a very inappropriate response to my attempt to playfully break the ice from the very hateful and unnecessary video that you made about me. Bottom line, I was assaulted. I had marks left on my body. I told very clear, specific facts about the level of assault. I didn't try to exaggerate by lying about bruises that I admitted were just scars, and please don't think they were bruises. I didn't try to say he punched me in the face or held me down. It definitely didn't self-inflict a scratch wound. But if you were harassed, beaten, bullied, assaulted, no matter what your level of injury, if there is any, if somebody put their hands on you in a way that was unwanted or unwarranted, that is assault. Even if that person thinks that you're annoying or they don't like you, if they put their hands on you, that is assault. If they break and damage your property, that is a crime. And you should not be bullied into silence. You should not feel afraid to speak up, and that person should not have any power over you.
A year later, on Adam22's channel, Gabbie would go on to say that though she was frustrated by Ricegum's behavior, she did receive support from the wider community.
So that was frustrating. It was a very difficult time because I'm never somebody who likes to get attention from drama, but really I never got a lot of hate from that. I got a lot of support from the community. Anybody that wasn't like an 8-year-old Ricegum fan was on my side and could see the truth.
Throughout the interview, Gabbie went on to explain that the genesis of challenging Ricegum on this particular night stemmed from a series of social media interactions on Twitter.
So he got butthurt about a tweet that wasn't even about him.
Right.
Then he made a diss track about me where he's making fun of my nose, he's saying my voice is annoying, and then he tried to like dig up a joke stealing scandal from me, and then I responded by showing all of his stolen jokes side by side. And like, honestly, I love my response to this track. You should watch it, it's really funny.
Oh no, I gotta get more into that. Wait, but so
when I saw him in person, the whole thing was like, oh, you can talk shit behind a camera.
I'm gonna battle you to your face.
Right.
So then I walked up to him with my Snapchat, and that's why my Snapchat said, yo, let's battle. Because like to me, if you can talk shit behind a keyboard, say it to my face.
Right.
And I'm not afraid to say it to your face. I would have battled him on the spot and would have won.
But do you think that he thought that you were just gonna like freak out on him? He thought that you were you coming
No.
somewhat good-naturedly? Like,
Watch the video. You can see it in the Snapchat. And this is exactly what happened. He's sitting on the couch, and I come by, and I go, yo, Ricegum, let's battle. Let's battle. Like, you can see it in the video. I'm
Right.
being funny. And the first one, he laughs. And he goes, nah. And, like, it's, like, a jokey, funny thing. But then the second one is where he got really upset. You can see him, like, playing along in the first one. The second one that I don't know if it ever got posted, because I can't remember if that was before or after. But I said to him, what, are you upset because your ghostwriter's not here? Or you can't battle me because your ghostwriter's not here? And then that's when he was like, delete that. And I said, no. Because then he got really aggressive. He's like, right away, as soon as he said delete it, and I said no, he got up and like started twisting my arm and got my phone. And he broke my phone because he didn't want me to post the snap.
Right.
That's why he broke it. But then just the screen was broken, so I still posted it.
What strikes me about this clip is Gabbie's propensity to confront other creators in a brash manner. Although I agree with Gabbie that forcibly grabbing someone's phone and breaking it is not how an adult should behave, neither is antagonizing another creator at a party. It was up to Ricegum to be the bigger person and walk away from the situation. He chose not to do that. And ultimately, that was the general consensus. His behavior had crossed that line. However, this need to prove herself right, to be reassured that she had the right of the situation or was justified in her actions, would become a major criticism later down the line. Gabbie Hanna's reach was continuing to be boosted despite these public mishaps, helped in part by her ongoing inclusion as a member of the Vlog Squad, spearheaded by fellow Viner David Dobrik. Dobrik had collected a number of fellow creators who would appear in videos across their respective channels, and that of the Vlog Squad main spoke. This model proved to be incredibly effective at not only raising the profile of the members, but that of the main channel itself. More and more creators would come and go as members or occasional collaborators, bringing their own fanbase with them and consequently amplifying their growth. Given most of the original Vlog Squad were soon to be ex-Viners, they were able to capitalize on their existing fanbase, whilst adding and sharing new subscribers on YouTube. These threads, which by now have been baked into YouTube lore, formed a narrative around these internet stars, elevating them to the status of a character in their own overarching story. In fact, in the making of this video, I found myself researching other creators connected to Gabbie, each branching off the other, be that through analysis, commentary, or being involved in the drama themselves. It creates an interesting web of connections that one can easily become entangled in. However, there was a downside to this lifestyle of constant vlogging. Throughout her time, Gabbie was the group's heel, oftentimes being belittled by David Dobrik, the leader of the Vlog Squad, and his friends, for all the internet to see. At this time in her life, Gabbie was out of college, trying to find a direction in her life, and while she seemed to enjoy making content, the Vlog Squad was not a positive influence on her. In a video by Recharged Podcast Clips, titled Gabbie Hanna Bullied by the Vlog Squad, Gabbie Hanna explained that though there were instances where clips of her featuring in David Dobrik's videos were taken out of context, the constant poking at her appearance, particularly her weight, did diminish her self-worth.
I was watching a highlight reel of like moments from the Vlog Squad days at the beginning, where David was like really viciously bullying you, and it made me really upset to watch because I've watched David's vlogs for a while and never seen the reality of the dark side, and it's not been until the last few months where a lot of people have been speaking out against it.
People are seeing now what I've been seeing, what I've known for years.
Yeah.
And it's honestly kind of it causes me like a lot of sadness.
Yeah.
Because I know what he's going through because I went through it.
Are you in speaking terms? Has he reached out to you to apologize?
He did ask me if I wanted to talk, and I actually forgot to respond because when I got it, I was in a studio session, and then I kind of just, it didn't, there are so many answers that I've been wanting for so long that
it might be healing to have a conversation with him.
Well, I thought over the years maybe, but what I've found is happiness is forgiving people who will never apologize.
Yeah.
And he reached out to me at a time where it's not like I hadn't tried to talk to him over the years. It was when he was like getting canceled and scared, just afraid I would say something.
He's backed into the corner, and
yeah.
So like, are you saying like you were able to forgive him a while ago? Or do you think you still feel?
I think I recently was able to forgive a lot of people because it wasn't just him. And like, honestly, the reality is the stuff in the vlogs, what I'm not cool with, I wasn't cool with the nose jokes, I wasn't cool with the fat jokes, I expressed that, and then that's why I wasn't a part of the vlogs anymore. But the reality is, like, I don't like when people clip stuff out of context. And there's one clip in there, for example, where he calls me fat, and they use that clip of me saying, like, you've been calling me fat since vlog 1. And he says, I don't call you fat because you're fat, I call you fat because you think you're fat and you're not. And it was interesting to me that people chose to take that clip and edit out the part where he actually was saying you're not fat.
He was playing, from his perspective, you think he was playing on the fact that
I called myself
it was ironic
fat because they all called me fat. And it was an ongoing joke where I was making the weight jokes because everybody else was calling me fat. And I was giving everybody else permission to make weight jokes. But also everyone in that group knew I had a severe eating disorder. And when I brought up that I didn't like the jokes and I didn't want this and I wanted to get back to the friendship and not the vlogs, then I lost all my friends.
the one clip that got me was when there was like a present that you were given. It was like a surprise, and it was diet pills.
What's interesting about
that
that,
was like kind
that
of
was a
heartbreaking
video
for
on
me.
my channel that we
Wow.
scripted beforehand.
Okay.
And that's where I don't like when people take stuff out of context. Now, the deeper issue of that is the reason I was okay with that joke and put it on my channel and edited and put it on is because I thought that was all I was worth.
Yeah,
it
well,
was a fat joke.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. It's like, even if you were aware, it's like you're degrading, you're allowing someone to degrade you with a joke like that.
I was contributing to the negative body issues because by calling myself fat when I was a little bit overweight, but like by making myself the fat girl, the token fat girl, because that was how my friends spoke to me. Because I was feeding into the jokes because the jokes weren't being made, but also I didn't advocate for myself because I wanted to fit in and be accepted.
As well as this, the line between what was content and what was life had begun to blur, leading to Gabbie feeling isolated from that community. This feeling was compounded when, in 2018, she left the squad to pursue a solo career as a content creator. By this stage, she had begun to establish herself as a music artist, changing her channel name from The Gabbie Show to just Gabbie Hanna, releasing singles out loud and, honestly, to millions upon millions of views. Yet not all were sunshine and dandelions for the up-and-coming artist, as yet another incident had begun to dog her heels on the release of her newest single, Monster. Genius reached out to talk to her about the song and its meaning. However, in a stroke of misfortune, the sound somehow, well...
Maybe I'm the monster.
Stop! I could have dropped my croissant!
This clip has gone down in meme history.
Maybe I'm the monster.
I don't want to be too harsh on Gabbie. I mean, everyone's being really mean in the comments, going like, oh, she can't sing, blah, blah, blah. I mean, let's be real here. So many artists can't sing. That hasn't stopped anyone, so keep doing what you're doing, Gabbie, because the memes are great.
That's funny, I think the audio just cut out. Why can't I hear my own voice?
If I'm the monster.
There's just some guy in the back holding a boom mic, like, on the other side of the studio. That's the part of the video that everybody's been talking about. And holy smokes, there are some legendary memes that have come out of this.
So what if I'm the monster?
Jimmy, my boy. Usually I don't find this stuff funny, like, at all. It's just this bizarre Gen Z humor that I've never really, I don't get it. It's like the Neanderthal in me coming out just to enjoy a good laugh.
The memes are more popular than the actual song. Why is she used in so many of these meme compilations? Alright, I'll give...
Although she did her best to accept and capitalize on the situation, her attempts appeared forced, adding fuel to the fire.
Dude. Like when you're laughing and then you do that. I used to do that so much in high school. I love the fact that everybody's making my mouth really big because I like screamed it in that. For the record, that was so uncomfortable to do in front of people. I saw some comments saying I could have sang it in my head voice, I could have sang it falsetto, and yeah, I could have. But if I would have done that instead, then all of the comments would say, when I heard that song, I knew she couldn't belt that note like that. That's all producing and auto-tune and vocal effects. So with the internet, you can't win. So I sang it the way that it was written because that's the way I like to hear it. I just wasn't expecting that one.
Not only have you embraced it and been cool about it, you've already got merchandise up on Amazon.
One thing I know how to do is turn a bad situation into something positive, and it inspired like a drawing, and I just drew on my iPad.
You drew that?
Oh yeah. So
Wow.
I just drew it that night, and I was like, oh, this is a t-shirt, and then I put it on shirts, and I think they're really cute, and I can't wait to get them in the mail. People really like it. That's another thing that haters are just funny. I hate using that word because it doesn't sound like something you say in 8th grade, like, oh, my haters. But they're funny because they'll comment like, oh my God, sis, nobody's going to buy your stupid merch. And it's like, oh, I'd show you my sales report, but I don't want to brag.
Yeah.
By this stage, the community was beginning to wonder how many times was Gabbie Hanna going to put her foot in her mouth? And soon, there would be yet another scandal that would serve as the catalyst for Gabbie's reputation as an entitled social media influencer. Like many influencers at the time, Gabbie promoted sets of brushes from Kenza Cosmetics on her Instagram stories. The brushes were advertised as originally being $80, however, as the site was supposedly going out of business, it was giving out these brushes for free. All you had to do was pay for shipping.
Ton of promotions on my Instagram story, but this company, Kenza Cosmetics, is giving away their makeup brushes for free from 2018 while supplies last, and I figured it's free stuff. Why wouldn't I tell you guys? All you have to pay is shipping. Here are some of the 2018 styles that they're trying to get rid of to make room for 2019. I love these ones, these marble ones. Cute with that little fluffy brushes. Yes. So make sure to swipe up because that is where the link is available.
Rumblings of a scam began to surface when commentator Marky reported that these $80 brushes could be found for a lot less on wholesale sites such as AliExpress, and if the brushes finally did arrive, they were not of the quality that the customers expected.
Well, the first thing I noticed was a lot of people were going to Twitter to complain and actually get a bit skeptical because their items just haven't arrived months later. As you can see here, there's a tweet from our pal Callie from over a month ago, basically talking about these Kenza Cosmetics and how they're giving away these brushes for free and how she just bought some. Lo and behold, someone actually replied to her and said that they've ordered something from the website as well, but now that they've looked into it, they're a bit scared it's a scam. So obviously with this deal being going on for months, where apparently they're giving away these very expensive brushes for free, and obviously they're going to be paying Tana Mojo a ton of money because she's a massive channel, she won't take anything less than a ton of money. It really just left the question, how the hell are they making a sustainable income and actually paying people to promote this? So I decided to go on a little bit of a search, okay? I decided to look up these images that were getting used on this website, these brushes that they were selling, okay? I decided to look up the images and see where the they came from. And I found out where it was on AliExpress for $2. $2. Not $85 like Tana and this website have been saying this whole entire time. $2 for a set of 10. That's 20 cents a brush.
Fellow influencers such as Tana
Mojo,
who had also promoted this company, went on to apologize to their followers, performing damage control so as to maintain that sense of goodwill with their audience. However, in Gabbie Hanna's case, it didn't quite work out in her favor.
I do find it very weird that you would do 2 Instagram stories about this company and not show the fact that you've owned the brushes to say they're good quality or not. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. But even if we're going to give you the benefit of the doubt and say that you did own the brushes beforehand, you then go on to say that you think they're probably worth maybe $1 per brush.
I think that they're worth about $1 a brush.
And then on top of that, you basically try and blame the audience or the people who did purchase the brushes by saying like, oh, what the f*** do you expect?
But I would also add, manage your expectations a little bit. I'm not sure what quality people were expecting.
Well, I'll tell you what they expected, Gabbie. They expected $80 worth of a brush. Like, you know how it's advertised on the site? You know, the thing that you showed in your story?
You talk about your due diligence, you talk about research, but then only a few minutes later you completely contradict yourself with your own words about this cosmetic brand, Kenza Cosmetics.
But like, I truly feel like if these people would just say the words "I'm sorry," they would get so much farther in their careers and like not have to deal with this stuff.
A scam can just be somebody being dishonest about a product when it comes to advertising the actual product, and this whole situation pretty much fits the definition of a scam. And she said something truly wonderful. She said, if you're ordering cheap things online, you should manage your expectations.
I think that they're worth about $1 a brush, and that's why I felt okay advertising that to my followers, because unlike these and so many others, like these are plastic, hard, shitty brushes. These are actually very soft, movable, fluffy brushes that, in my opinion, blend very well. Now, are they these amazing, high quality, can't even believe it, great brushes? No, I also never said they were. What I said they were was free brushes, and all you had to pay for was shipping. So I'm not sure what quality people were expecting when they paid $10 for 10 brushes, and I'm genuinely sorry if anybody got their product and was disappointed in the product. But I would also add, manage your expectations a little bit. Because if you want really high quality brushes, you're going to pay a really high quality price. If you want to pay $10 for brushes, then expect to get some pretty useful run-of-the-mill brushes, and I was not expecting to like this.
She advertised these products, and the website advertised these products as $70 to $80 brushes, which have been reduced. It's bait using dishonest scheming to sell cheap imports, and I'm going to keep repeating that because it's just hilarious that she can't understand this.
As a public figure, the vetting of the quality of the products being promoted is implicit. We trust that they have our interests and wallets in mind, that Gabbie Hanna's audience had been scammed. However, it was on Gabbie Hanna to investigate the company before giving an endorsement rather than her audience if she wanted to maintain that sense of trust. And this poorly received response was indicative of a trend of behaviour that Gabbie continues to display even to this day when it comes to addressing controversies brought on by her actions. By placing the onus onto the other party, her audience in this case, she demonstrated that she had not taken into account the inherent trust they had in her word. The Kenza Cosmetics controversy further highlights key negative behaviours that have permeated through each scandal, resulting in a rise of notoriety. This inability to accept personal responsibility, apologize sincerely, strive to improve, began to shape Gabbie's negative reputation within the wider YouTube community, sending her down a spiral of infamy. The Kenza Cosmetics situation is often cited as the nail in the coffin of Gabbie Hanna's reputation. In what was seen as a PR move, Gabbie Hanna agreed to an interview with British commentator IMNO after he posted a video covering the Kenza Cosmetics situation. IMNO had been on YouTube for some time and had amassed a fair number of videos covering scandalous stories, particularly throughout the events of Dramageddon 1.0. Much like other commentators in the field who covered the epic fallout of prominent YouTube beauty gurus at the time of Dramageddon, IMNO's channel was growing. But this was the first time interviewing a YouTuber of Gabbie's stature, who themselves was in the centre of their own scandal.
But did you get sent the products before you advertised them?
And that's what I try to show in the video. And the thing that's like, I'm very like cautious to say this because I don't want this to sound like I'm like passing blame or whatever it is, but like my products that I got, I genuinely like a lot. Like I still use them. I can go show you how dirty they are in my makeup brushes. They're just like, they're decent quality. Like I would say like ELF or like Eco Tools. I'm sure you don't know what that means, but I like mine a lot. And I'm wondering if like I got sent a product that wasn't the same product that everybody else was getting, because I think that that's probably something that could, you know how people say like PR is like nicer than the actual product, but I think more so what's like over the quality of the brushes, the thing that I wasn't taking into consideration was the fact that the website was marketing them as marked down from this price to this price. And if I'm being completely honest, I didn't even look at what, like, I mean, I saw it because I opened the website, but I wasn't looking at it like, oh wow, they said these brushes were $60 and now they're $0. Because when I look at stuff like that, and this isn't the assumption that I should have made for everybody, when I look at that, I'm like, oh, that's clearly not an $80 brush set. That's a marketing tactic. People always, like, every website marks down their prices to make it look like it was overmarked and now it's marked out, whatever. But just because I assumed that doesn't mean that, like, my 13-year-old audience or older audience is looking at it like that. Like, they were looking at it as I'm going to get $80 brushes. And the problem, I don't think is the quality of the brushes or the fact that they are Chinese imports. The problem is they were being advertised as $80 brushes. And that was something that I should have been like, okay, this is misleading. And just because I'm assuming something doesn't mean my audience is going to assume something. They're going to look at this and say these are $80 brushes and then get Chinese imports.
And that's because they'll do that because obviously your audience trusts you. But you've been around on YouTube for quite a long time, I'm pretty sure. I guess when you're advertising a product at a channel of your size, you probably should maybe do background checks, get somebody else to do a check for you, like if you
100%. That is 100% true. And that's why I feel like stupid as fuck about it. You're right. It was like a very like naive thing where if I'm getting a product and I like it and I think it's like an okay price for me, that's like, okay, $10 for a product I like. But you're right, there's so much more to it.
But do you think a lot of people blew out of proportion? Do you think personally that I blew out of proportion?
You know I didn't watch your video.
For somebody to do a 27-minute video on that, do you personally agree with that? Or do you think that's not right? Do you think I'm personally doing that for self-gain?
Well, I mean, I think obviously on YouTube there's always a level of self-gain, but I don't think that the intention of, I would say most of the people making these videos, I don't think that the intention is just to attack somebody. I mean, I think there's some people who are just like, fuck Gabbie, I hate her, but no, I don't think that you were being malicious just because I know your content personally, so I know that you're generally pretty fair, and if you were to like make a video about something that
it did seem in your video that you did lie to your fans in a way about the whole, you got your products and you instantly thought that everyone else got their products. And when you first see your response video, you can easily take out that you're, in a way, being manipulative in that video. Even if it isn't intentional, people think that. I think that when I first saw it and when I made my video on it. Do you think that you kind of got scammed by Kenza?
As far as feeling like I was scammed from them, I try not to use the word scam because there's so many like legal loopholes to it, but I feel like they definitely misled me. I feel like you know what? no. Like they told me that all the shit that I was sending them wasn't true. And
So you were definitely lied to by Kenza.
Yeah, because like I literally am looking at the DMs. Like this girl says people buy their products, they never get the email and stuff, and I send it to them, and they're just like, this sounds so weird. First of all, don't worry, we can prove all orders with proof of shipping. Blah 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 blah. And there's like this long email saying we take this very seriously. Our image is so important to us. You know, we've been nothing but professional. The major thing this did for me was. Like I see a lot of comments about like don't act like you didn't know the influence you had, and like don't act like you didn't know that like there's 6 million people like watching you. But like this situation reminded me that, because obviously I can walk around and be like, yeah, I have 6.5 million subscribers, but you can't really, that number's not real, if that makes sense. And I know that they're out there like watching, but I forgot how much actual influence I have, because to me, I like lost touch with that in the sense that I'm so far out of the YouTube community. I don't hang out with a lot of YouTubers. I try to hang out with like people who have like day-to-day jobs and my friends from high school and college and stuff like that. So this reminded me who I am and what influence I have and how many people are watching me, and that people will go just blindly buy a product just because I said that I like it and stuff like that. So as much as people are like, don't pretend that you don't know your influence, this was like, fuck, I do have a big influence and I have to be careful, and then put me back into touch with like what's important and like reality and like humans. And I don't know, I'm bad at articulating on the spot. I never gave the final thought. I just want to like make sure I make it so clear that I'm actually fucking sorry as fuck. And like I know that I was wrong, and if I came off as like trying to like defend myself or like making excuses, I know that like no matter what reason, no matter what like explanation I'm like giving, at the end of the day, I know 100% fact that I f***ed up in a lot of ways. I am taking responsibility for it, even though I can say like the reason, like it's still my fault, period. And I'm sorry, and I don't think that this is gonna like fix my image, or I'm gonna like get all of these people to come back and like trust me, but I just wanted to move into this year having said it, because there's always this thing in the back of my head of like, should I address it? Should I address it? And I just want to live as honestly as possible, so here
To
it
be
is.
fair, a big thank you to Gabbie for coming on this channel. It's not often you see a big creator who's surrounded in controversy actually address the issues, especially address the issues with the person that is criticizing her. And secondly, I hope that this cleared up a lot for her fans and for in general the people that have lost their money. Now, don't get me wrong, I haven't taken the blame away from Gabbie fully. I still think that she was very naive in a situation, and I still believe that she does need to do more research before she promotes a certain product or before she does anything on her YouTube channel, because when you have an audience like she does, such a big audience, you need to really do your research. But I think what this interview has shown is that Kenza Cosmetics not only screwed over her fans, but they also screwed over Gabbie Hanna.
Unfortunately, this interview was initially not well received by the public. Criticism was aimed at both INABA and Gabbie, the former's inexperience seeming to overshadow his ability to ask harder-hitting questions, or ignoring what appeared to be blatant contradictions by Gabbie, and the latter receiving criticism that she had taken advantage of a young YouTuber's naivety for the sake of good PR.
What happens when you are being manipulated and coached into doing something that you're not necessarily 100% comfortable with? Would you say that the other person, in order to boost your confidence, would turn around and say, you're gonna do great, sweetie?
Hey Gabbie, this is a bit different for me personally.
I think you're gonna do great.
Thank you.
Yes, that's right. We're going to be talking about the INABA and Gabbie Hanna interview, and why I feel that this is very calculated and very manipulative on the part of Gabbie Hanna.
Comments about like don't act like you didn't know the influence you had, and like don't act like you didn't know that like there's 6 million people like watching you. But like this situation reminded me that, because obviously I can walk around and be like, yeah, I have 6.5 million subscribers, but you can't really, that number's not real.
You're aware of how much your influence costs. You are aware of how much your influence means to these companies. So once you make your influence a financial commodity, you know your influence. Do not bullshit me. You know your influence. Don't piss on my face and then tell me it's raining. I understand the fact that Gabbie Hanna may have been severely misled by Kenza Cosmetics, and when people were bringing in their queries and their problems to her and she was sending it to Kenza Cosmetics, they were combating it with, you should believe us. Why do you believe these people? The point is that Gabbie Hanna made a choice. She chose to believe the company over her subscribers.
INABA, who is a fellow commentary channel about the same size as me, basically he filmed a interview with my bestest of buddies, Gabbie Hanna. And let's just say when I watched it the first time, maybe it was because I was watching it like as soon as I woke up in the morning and I just wasn't really thinking as critically as I do a few hours later and a few coffee cups later. And I watched it again and I was pissed. And then I went on Twitter and I saw Petty Page, sis, I see you, making a whole thread about it, and I was like, no, I am pissed. I really am pissed. No, this confirms it. I am pissed. I'll just roll the clip. I did not think it was going to get to this. I thought me and Naba were, you know, fine. I don't know, man. I have no explanation for this, but roll the clip.
Commentators started coming out and basically complaining and attacking Gabbie Hanna.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine. When you're not really fine. You just... No tea, no shade, even though we both filmed videos about Gabbie Hanna and both put the word scammer in the title. But I'm the one that attacks and I'm the one that complains.
IMNO released a follow-up video detailing his impressions of Gabbie Hanna, as well as addressing some of the more vocal criticisms the interview had garnered.
Now, the interview that I did with Gabbie came out a few days ago, and I wanted to take a few days of a break to kind of reflect on things and think things over before I give an in general opinion on this situation. And I have seen a lot of people come out and say, oh, you were manipulated by Gabbie Hanna, you sold out to Gabbie Hanna. But the thing is, I haven't really put out a full opinion about the situation. I basically questioned Gabbie. I wanted to give her this interview so she could be asked the questions which she wasn't answering on the 2 videos she uploaded on her YouTube channel. And that was the whole point of the interview. I didn't state any opinions, I was just there to ask pretty much the hard questions. Now, the first thing I want to talk about, which is something a lot of people got upset with to do with Gabbie, was when in the interview she describes YouTubers that are talking about her as hate channels.
The main reason I didn't want to do it on my own channel is because I'm not watching these hate videos, which by the way, if everybody's like mad at me for not watching.
I'm not going to defend Gabbie on this situation because I genuinely do believe that a lot of the bigger channels on YouTube, specifically the LA vloggers, do look at channels like mine and look at Angelica's and look at Marky's like hate channels. I think that they are and have been in this belief for quite a long time, and it's one of the main reasons a lot of these YouTubers really haven't learned from anything, because it is a pretty ignorant mindset to have that somebody criticizing you is a hate channel. Now, don't get me wrong, there are things of actual hate trains out there and there are actual hate channels out there, but I don't personally believe that the commentators that have critiqued Gabbie Hanna are doing it out of a source of hatred. I think, if anything, they're just doing it because they want to do it. And also, if they didn't criticize these people because they like them or they've been a fan of them, then they would lose a level of integrity here. Because, for example, if I just went on this video to defend Gabbie because, you know, I know her and I speak to her now, then I feel like I would be doing an injustice to my audience. And as a comment said on my community page the other day, I would have actually sold out to Gabbie Hanna. So I'm not going to do that because I'm not a moron. When it comes to the belief that commentary channels are these evil hate channels which just want to pick on all these big YouTubers, I do think that comes from a general source of naivety, and I did say in the interview that Gabbie is naive. And now, to be fair to Gabbie, she did actually clear up on a statement pretty much moments after that.
Can I not say hate videos actually?
Critique videos?
Yeah, critique videos, because like I don't want people to think that I'm just watching the videos as like hate. Like I understand the critique. Hate video is just like the word for like, this person hates me.
Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys, this clearly is an immediate backtrack. Gabbie clearly realised what she said, and she realised that she can't call these channels like mine or Angelica or Marky's or anyone else's hate channels anymore. But I do think there is like a silver lining there, that she is actually learning from this situation. The fact that she now knows that she can't call me or anyone else a hate channel, because we're not hate channels. We're not. We're critical channels, don't get me wrong. And yes, we do give out a negative vibe, but I think if we're going to push negative vibes under the carpet and be all positive and happy, we're just going to go back to that fake style of 2012, 2014 YouTube, where anyone can get away with practically anything. So honestly, I am glad that Gabbie is learning from this situation, but the thing is, a lot of people did say to me, well, do you stand by what you said in your original video? Are you backtracking? And if I'm going to be honest here, people, I stand by 90% of what I said in my original video about Gabbie. The only thing I don't stand by is that Gabbie is this manipulative mastermind. I think that, honestly, we give YouTubers way too much credit, and that does seem hypocritical, but I've been thinking about this, and because I've been speaking to Gabbie, I've kind of realised that YouTubers, they do just fuck up, and they are just in general naive. I don't think that they have this master plan out to scam their fans, because when you think about it, why would they? Like, why would a YouTuber intentionally try and fuck their audience over? I don't think Gabbie wanted Kenza Cosmetics to screw over her fans. I just believe that a lot of creators out there are money hungry, and they also are just extremely naive, as I keep saying. Now, as I said earlier, a few people have been saying that I was manipulated or played by Gabbie Hanna, and I wholeheartedly disagree. When it comes to the video being on my channel, that was pretty much a mutual decision. I did say to her, if you upload this video onto your third channel, it's just going to look like you're trying to do a Shane Dawson Tanacon thing, or you're also manipulating your audience because you're pretty much playing the victim and doing a third video on the situation. And I think if she did that, then yeah, she probably would have played me if we went on her channel, but it was all completely a mutual decision, and whether you agree with that or whether you don't agree with that, that's fair enough. But I just want to say, I wasn't manipulated. I do believe a lot of YouTubers out there are manipulators. I think we give credit to too many YouTubers. I don't believe Tana Mojo is a manipulator. I don't believe that Gabbie Hanna is a manipulator. I think they are very naive people. But with this whole Kenza thing, I think there is clear evidence that in this situation, Kenza screwed over Gabbie's fans, but they also pretty much screwed over her too. Now, I want to move away from that and follow up on a point that Angelica always made in the beginning of her response video to this interview. And I'm just going to play the clip now from Angelica's video.
I'll just roll the clip. I did not think it was going to get to this. I thought me and Nabba were, you know, fine. I don't know, man. I have no explanation for this, but roll the clip.
Commentators started coming out and basically complaining and attacking Gabbie Hanna. Complaining and attacking Gabbie Hanna.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine.
You know, with this comment, I genuinely feel like a bit of an idiot, I'm not gonna lie, because I feel like it comes off as really snide. It looks like I'm just being snide to all of my other fellow commentators, when the reality of the matter is, what I meant to say in that is that a lot of commentators, including myself, have made videos on Gabbie Hanna. So yeah, when I look back on it and look at Angelica's video, I do regret that comment, but at the end of the day, as I said, I was editing for 12 hours straight, and you know, I'm not trying to play the victim here, guys.
You're not playing the victim, guys, don't shoot me!
A few people out there in YouTube comment sections or on Twitter were particularly annoyed with Gabbie's phrasing in this part of the apology, when she said, I'm sorry as fuck, and then then proceeded to laugh afterwards. And to be honest, I can't criticize her for that. I'm not going to run with that because I know personally from my own experience when I'm put under pressure, when I'm feeling anxious or nervous, I am going to laugh in these situations. It's just how a lot of people out there work. People deal with their nerves and anxiety by laughing, and I know for a fact that Gabbie was nervous in this situation. She was speaking to a guy who was openly critical of her about something which is genuinely career defining. If Gabbie screws up even more in this situation, her career could possibly be over with. So naturally, she is going to be nervous no matter if she is wrong or if she isn't wrong. I feel like it's a pretty weird criticism to make considering we're all about being accepting of people's mental health or just in general accepting of how people are in awkward situations, which this clearly was. If you were genuinely disappointed with how I handled it, then I do apologize. It was my first interview and I don't honestly believe I could have handled it any better given how I get in nervous or anxious situations. To give my overall opinion on the situation, I do believe that Gabbie did scam her fans in this situation, but I don't particularly believe that it was intentional. I do think the scamming part on the intentional side did come from Kenza Cosmetics because they're clearly a very shady company, but I do think Gabbie should have done her research and I hope she does do her research when it comes to future sponsorships. I think she is very naive and I don't believe she's particularly good with criticism, especially when she has called channels hate channels and then backtracked on it. And yes, as I said, that shows she's learning, but it does show in the past she clearly hasn't been the best with criticism, and this is coming from a person that actually has spoken to Gabbie quite a lot. But when it comes to coming on an uncut interview on somebody else's channel, you're pretty much going by the first cut and you can't change that whatsoever, and I'm not gonna tell her to change it because that is the reality. That is the real Gabbie Hanna, and that is really what I wanted to show with this interview.
I want to loop back to a point I made earlier in this video. However, this need to prove herself right, to be reassured that she had the right of the situation or was justified in her actions, would become a major criticism later down the line. This fervent need for validation, to prove that she was right all along, to have the last say, had begun to seriously impact the degree of grace the community was willing to give her. There was this pattern of obfuscation and deflection in Gabbie's responses to controversies, particularly in the more immediate time frame prior to the Trisha Paytas kitchen floor smackdown that left Gabbie with a serious handicap. Authenticity, trust, the ability to collaborate, these are all key virtues of the netizen culture, particularly here on YouTube. As Gabbie Hanna failed to uphold each of these virtues throughout her career, the more critical the YouTube community became. The Kenza Cosmetics scandal served as a precursor to Herpygate. Her reputation had been undermined by a combination of accumulated call-outs and poor responses by Gabbie herself. The foundation for her takedown was there, and all Trisha had to do was take a good swing. But before we get to that, we have to go back and see where Trisha was prior to the end of 2019 and what she'd done to position herself as the one who would ultimately land one of the most decisive blows to Gabbie Hanna's reputation.